It's a good day. It's time for Mother Knows Best. Last week we had a great conversation and we had some of you call in, and so we just thank you for giving your opinions later on after the show was over. But this morning we are talking about this news story. It's been all over the news this week. 18-year-old from New Jersey has sued her parents for child support. She wanted to be on their insurance. She wanted reimbursement for her private high school tuition. She wanted them to pay for the attorney fees, and she wanted to keep her college savings accounts, which they had saved up for her. She says her parents threw her out of the house 2 days before her 18th birthday. Her parents say she ran away on her own accord because she didn't want to abide by household rules like chores, curfew, and being respectful to her parents. And the judge denied her request to be able to get all these compensations. So we want to know.
But they're coming back April 22nd.
So you have read up on this. Give us your feed of what's happening.
Where to start? Well, first of all, her parents don't owe her anything. I mean, she's 18. The interesting thing that kind of jumped out at me was the child support request. Who would that be paid to? Child support's paid to adults for children. So if she's applying as an adult, she can't spend it on herself. And if she's applying as a child, the check doesn't go to her. So I'm not even sure what she's asking for there. The father actually went on record saying no matter what the outcome of that, the college tuition, the college account would still be given to her, whether or not she's, considered liberated. She's not even liberated minor. She's 18. She doesn't have to be home anymore. It's just a spoiled child. I mean, my heart breaks for the parents. There was a link that had the transcript of the voicemail that she left her mother. That just, I can't even imagine saying the words she said to anybody, let alone your mother. And, but this didn't happen overnight. You know, her father was very proud. He said, I've been a liberal parent, very liberal. I don't understand how this happened. Well, I would say that's one point against liberal parenting, because this is clearly, a pattern that had been developed.
Well, the dad was a police officer, and he said, I'm much tougher on my officers than I am on my daughter. But my first thought was, I couldn't believe an attorney would take the case, because I just, if the judge had found for her, I mean, any kid and anybody that has teenagers, and I have teenage grandchildren, love y'all dearly with all my heart, but, they want things, and now it's starting to be cars. And so they could say, if you're not going to buy me a car, I'm going to run away from home and sue you to buy me a car. And it just seems like such a slippery slope. I do think that I have to say that I'm proud of the girl for wanting to go to college and pursue those things. But it's just like when I die, I don't owe my children anything. I can leave them everything if I want to. I can leave everything to my dog if I want to. It's my money. Once they're 18, technically, legally, if they're healthy and of sound mind, I don't owe them anything.
Right. Well, I mean, with me, of course, when I first read it, like most parents, I got upset. And I put myself in those parents' shoes, and I was like, man, I would crack so many skulls if that was my daughter. But when I went in and read the voicemail that she left, a red flag went off, because she sounded, not saying that this is true, but she sounded entirely too angry. There are two ways that you could look at this, because she also accused the dad of kissing her inappropriately and saying that the reason why she was bulimic was because her mom called her fat and called her all kind of names. When there is a difference between a rebellious teen and a troubled teen.
That's true.
So a part of our red flag went off and said, this girl seems troubled, and it may be some validity to her accusations that she's placed against the dad.
They've already had the family investigated for that.
But you know what? You would be surprised. You would be surprised. You would be surprised. The social services sometimes they hit and miss. Just look at all the child death cases that we've had where people have went in and investigated, and they've thought that there was nothing wrong, and they overlook it, because this seems to be a clean-cut family. He's a police officer. I don't know what the mom does, but then looking at the girl seems to be well-rounded in her appearance.
They don't fit the profile.
They don't fit the profile. I'm not saying that they did do that, because Lord knows if one of my children made that accusation against me and it was not true, of course, you all know me. I'd be on top of Fox building and show it to everybody. But someone needs to look in to see us deeper, because I've worked with young women who are grown now who this was the you know, how they reacted to having all those. There are some girls who have had moms who were mad at them because their boyfriends or their husbands were sleeping with them, and so they verbally abused them while the husband sexually abused them, and so she got angry. Those words that she used at her mom, those were some strong words.
But
so
girls like that will not, stereotypically, and of course there's always exceptions, will not do 3.5 grade average in school. So, of course, as I said, there's always exceptions. I'm not saying that. But they earn between, I think their estimated income was between $250,000 and $300,000.
Okay.
I went to a private Catholic school. She is smart. And because we have such a internet savvy and news savvy youth, they know what's going on. She knows what will work. She knows what buttons to push.
Well, that would be something that you would say if you knew that little girl personally. I would say that if I knew her personally, that she knew what to do and what not to do. I could say that. But I'm not saying that the parents did this. But I'm saying that there is another angle to look at this. Of course, you know, if she's doing all of this, no, I am not going to pay you to go and do whatever you want to do. When mama said no, mama means no, okay? That's just the rule. When daddy says no, daddy means no. So if that's the case, no, of course. But on the second hand, she seemed too angry. That voicemail was just way too angry. And we can't even say that on TV.
But Bridget, one thing I can say, kids nowadays, they do talk that way. I mean, not every child, but what they watch, what they see on TV, that language is not that shocking anymore.
Yeah, I personally can't see it as a grown woman, but you're right.
Yeah, it's not that shocking
but
anymore.
But then on the other hand, like Pat said earlier, with him being a liberal parent, that's not the first time you use that language. And, you know, of course, I was raised old school. You know, we've got this new, you know, cool man, flower power, hey now, new age way of raising kids.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with flower.
Don't get started, Janet. Don't you get started today. But anyway, you know, we've got these liberal parents that feels like, okay, yes, I cuss, and, you know, you got all the housewives, and they curse and all this other. Let your children express yourselves. Express yourself like that at me, little girl, and see what happens.
Express yourself, but you be respectful.
You will be respected, you know, and so parents have to take charge. It may be the case.
It's a pattern.
Because he saw this on the way. If this is the case, it's two sides. If it's the case where they just allowed that little girl to talk to them any kind of way, and they allowed this to happen, and they allowed it, of course, this is going to be what happens when you don't put your foot down.
Right.
But
as heartbreaking as it is,
as heartbreaking
this is how it plays out.
But that was a strong accusation she made against her mom and dad. If she is lying,
well, the story isn't over. You know, the court called them back April 22nd.
Well, they're trying to decide on what now on April 22nd.
They're going to decide how to pursue this.
I think there's 3 other children in the home, aren't there?
2
or 3 other children. So to me, that would, I'm sure they've interviewed the children if CPS has been involved in the house.
But, you know, Lifetime made a true story movie years ago, I think in the early 90s, and there was a little girl, I think she was about 10, but she was starting to have some behavioral problems. She was cutting up in school, and they were trying to see what was going on, and out of the blue, she says, my daddy's been molesting me. Not saying that this is happening, not saying, but I want everybody to make sure that they always look into this. And all through the movie, because they made it was based on true story, I'm ready to just take the little girl and just put her in a room for the rest of her life. But it was true. It was validated at the end.
We're going to be back in just a moment to talk about this more. Stay with us. Welcome back to Good Day. We got more Mother Knows Best, and our screen back here has went blue. We're trying to get that fixed, so don't focus on the screen, focus on their beautiful faces. But we're talking about this this news situation that's happening right now. This 18-year-old New Jersey has sued her parents, and she kind of seems, we've been going back and forth about whether she was troubled or she's just really smart and kind of what exactly she might have been thinking. But, you know, how do you discipline your child and help them along and enforce rules and curfew and things like that without pushing them away or making them want to run away in the case of this one girl, and still, you know, love them and be a parent, but, you know, sometimes they want to rebel against that.
And I think it's hard. I think that's very hard, and I think it depends on the child. And you know, I was not the greatest teenager in the world, and when my mom would put me on restriction, I would sneak out my bedroom window and meet my friends and go out anyway. And my meeting place was a little laundromat down the road. And one night, as I was waiting in the laundromat for my friends, my mom walked in and busted me. And then my dad nailed my window shut after that. So I couldn't, you know, I was a very rebellious, wild teenager. I'm, you know, God rest my mother's soul. I feel bad every day for what I put her through in those teenage years. But, you know, but I wasn't really troubled. I was just, you know.
That was rebellion, though.
That was rebellion.
That's the difference between the two. I mean, with parents, sometimes I mean, because I know this is my first time ever being a parent to 3 kids at their current ages. And we overreact sometimes. Sometimes we're so quick to judge instead of finding out what's going on with them. And it is difficult to know when they're really testing the waters or when there's something sincerely wrong. And I told you all on the break about what Brianna went through when she was in elementary school. And with her, when she was beginning to, I don't want to say act out, but she just kind of clammed up, and you know, the teacher noticed the difference in how she was and what was going on, and it found out that there was another girl at school that was bullying her. Well, at first we didn't know, and with her snapping or not saying anything or being short with us, the initial response is, "Hey, little girl, you better get your attitude straight." But one day, and I know it was nothing but God, and then my mama, she called and she was like, "Baby, find out what's going on with her," because if she normally doesn't act this way, there's something else that's going on. But then sometimes we give our kids so many freedoms and there are no boundaries, you know, then they will turn around and act this way. And then sometimes you just got good mamas and you got, you know, somebody that wants to go and test the waters. Well, we've all tested the waters with our parents. You know, we've got great parents, and we're all going to test the waters, but it's up for the parents at that particular time to go ahead and nail the window shut.
Yeah, and I think follow your intuition, because my mom's intuition told her that, you know, I don't think she's really staying in her room when I put her on restriction. And so she stayed up, pretended to go to bed that night actually, and then got up later and went and checked on me, and sure enough, I wasn't there. And
well, I read an article recently written by a 19-year-old, and it was Why I Never Rebelled. And it was really interesting because 3 of the things that she pointed out was my parents always kept conversations open. Like you were saying, you were seeing something different with your daughter, and so you pursue it and say, well, what's going on? Don't accept the one her parents never accepted. How was school? Fine. Answer. The other one was always instill a sense of family honor to your kids. You know, we tell our kids, you know, when you're going out there, you're not only representing you, you're representing the Lord and the Fenner family, and instill some kind of, you know, pride of the, you know, their family. And then the other thing too was to not so much don't accept bad behavior, but deal with it. You know, whenever she started getting, you know, rebelled or just, you know, misbehaved, her parents dealt with it, not just, oh, it'll pass, which took a lot of energy. I mean, it takes a lot of energy from a parent. Sometimes they act up and you want to just say, oh, whatever, you know, but she respected her parents, and she knew her parents took this job seriously and would deal with things. And I thought that was really interesting. And she never felt a need to rebel. When she felt like she needed to spread her wings, she went to her mom and dad and said, listen, I think I've proven I'm responsible. Can we make the curfew later? You know, kind of thing, and kept those conversations going.
You know, and I think sometimes the reason why parents allow their kids extra freedoms is because they see other parents who are entirely too strict, and then those kids rebel anyway. So they have the mindset, well, I'm not going to be that strict, so I'm going to let them have freedoms, and then they go overboard with it. It's important to know the balance. As parents, we're naturally going to try to hold on to our children because we're protective anyway, but it's important to know that balance of when to give them that freedom, when to let them slide by with that, and when to just say, okay, I got to play the mommy card today, and no, 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 no. So I think that's the importance of that. The key word was that he said that he was a liberal parent. So you
What does that mean? I mean, I know what that means to me.
Well, now see, what I read was he said he was more liberal with her than he was with his.
No. He said I was a liberal
that.
parent. He actually used it twice. I was a liberal parent, and then he explained.
And then too, it's possible that he felt that way because I've dealt with crimes and crooks that do worse than her, so I'm not going to be as hard because I've seen worse.
Well, and also because he, as a police, and I think he was a lieutenant or captain or some position of authority, he probably had to be very, very rigid and very. And so what he considers a liberal parent, we might not consider.
True. Oh no, in New
Jersey,
I lived in New Jersey.
I'm not from New Jersey, so I wouldn't know.
No, he was liberal.
That is so funny. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. If you have anything that you would like to hear the moms talk about or get their opinions on, it could be anything. You can email us at mothers@wfxl.com or goodday@wfxl.com, and go to mysouthwestga.com to find out more about our moms here. And we'll see you in the morning. Have a great Thursday.